Hey, this is Banzai here today with the Canon EOS M50 and the Tamron 18 to 200mm lens. And I do like having that long focal length. Gives you a lot of options. Oh, got it already. Communication between the camera and lens is faulty. You can see I'm using Super View in the GoPro today. Let's try something different. It'll look all warpy and whatever else. So with this, I can zoom in and cut out that super blown out sky. Oh man, just did it again. This might be a short video. So yeah, I've pretty much confirmed within a few photos there's something going on. Trying to take a photo, I think it's having a problem changing the aperture. There could be some tolerance issue, there could be just the lens aperture mechanism inside is having problems. Yeah, big no-go. I'm in manual mode. I'm gonna see if that makes any difference with this. Nope. Nope. In these lenses, this era of lens, there's no aperture ring. I'm gonna try turning off the exposure simulation so the camera is not constantly messing with the lens. Leave it at 3.5, 18mm for a little bit and see if I can use it. So it's not popping up with an error on 3.5. Let me change it here. Now it's working, who knows? So confusing. It's one of the things you have to deal with when you use old gear, especially the gear that's new enough that it has electronic stuff, that has no aperture ring, it doesn't have any like manual control on it. You have the negative of you can't do anything if it doesn't work. You're screwed at that point. Let me try shooting up into the sky. Okay, so far it's running. I'm gonna turn on the VC vibration control. Here we've got some nice light into those leaves. Now it's not having a problem. Very strange. Maybe it is firmware related, so all of the modes except for aperture priority could have issues. Here's a benefit of this lens. I see some berries. So far it's working with exposure simulation disabled. Aperture priority, I'm using the largest aperture available. VC is on, and I have negative 2/3 exposure compensation, just so the camera doesn't try to use faster shutter speeds than I want. And ISO is set to auto. We've got a nice light coming in from the trees right onto the ground. I like how that looks. Now having the exposure simulation on is a big pain in the butt. Okay, I'm gonna turn on exposure simulation again. We'll see if it starts having problems. Maybe the lens is acclimating to the conditions, the weather, temperature. So that could be part of it. There is an EF-M lens that is very similar to this. I think it's the same focal length range. If you're gonna go with something like this, you probably wanna spend extra money to get that. The thing is, I don't think you can update the firmware yourself on that lens, which is a big negative for these third-party lenses, especially one I don't think Tamron would support at this point. So it's a tough one. I like this little bit for some reason. Zoom in on it. We're in vlog mode with the Tamron, the M50, fully automatic. I have VC on the lens. I also have auto leveling in the M50, but no digital stabilization. So the leveling does do some digital stabilization, but it's more so when you're kind of rotating it. See how it looks. See, I got my action camera in the background. Just do a little bit of this, and then I'll switch back to photos. In just the general way that it's 18 to 200 millimeters on the crop camera, it's a nice range. The negative of 18, honestly, is not wide enough for a lot of stuff, in my opinion. But getting more than that is rare. So, of course, what I paid for it was not expensive, but it wasn't the cheapest thing ever. It wasn't like a $50 lens. I think it was 200 or something, which that hurts. It might have been 100 now that I think about it. It's still a lot for a lens that is messed up. Exposure is acting super weird. So it could be a firmware related thing, older EF related, where you adapt EF to the camera. Maybe Viltrox is mimicking what's in the EF lens. That could be it. I do think it is good to try things, see how they work, really push them a little bit here and there, so you do find the faults, and hopefully you can get around them. But in this case, it's pretty rough. I don't know, I'm gonna switch back to photos. There's some really interesting mushrooms over there. When it works, it works. Gotta say that. And just, of course, really nice long paths. Do a defocused photo first. The vibration control on this lens is honestly pretty good. I don't think I'd even try sending this back because I've been using it on EF M equipment. It's obviously not designed for that purpose. Nice tree here with lots of character. I like the versatility a lot. You just need to spend enough to get a good experience with the lens like this. That's interesting. Split to it. In this case, I might want to zoom in here so I can get it more flat looking. These spots are great for little patches of light that come in through the trees. As you can see this line coming in. And then it makes hard edges. The thing is, with vibration control, shake reduction, it's only good in certain situations. If you're photographing a moving subject, it's not going to do much for you. Technically, if you were panning with the moving subject, it might help. It's normally not the best in those situations. Well, let's go for the dark one. Light beam coming in, the sun just changed, and I can adjust my EV compensation. Try to avoid the strong reflections on something like this, where you can tell that it's gonna blow out. I've said in a previous video, this area was a tree farm a long time ago. So that's why they're orientated like this. So we use this as the base to cut off the photo. Here's some interesting growth on the tree. I'm definitely not saying that a lens like this is bad. You just need to find a lens like this that works well with your camera. And a lot of the time, going first party is the easy way to do it. There's a nice scene all ready for me. So I like how those look over there. Let's use our zoom powers. Again, we use that nice zoom on here. Beautiful weather. If your equipment doesn't work, you get to enjoy nature. Something like this. I love how the little orange. The berry channel. Oh, we got focus. And we'll get closer. Use the wide angle. Oh, it's back. It does take decent photos. It can work in vlogging situations and it can do a lot, but the big drawback, maybe it's this lens specifically, but there's no way to tell. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed the photos and the trials and tribulations of this Tamron H200. Scott Photography Banzai.